Slime everybody, I am Corvus Bruxo Luggenikos and this is Starting on Solitary. This week we're addressing our witchy and pagan crushes, and this was just opening Pandora's box because I was actually for the purpose of learning how to edit videos better. I wanted to do like these music videos or fan videos that people sometimes make, and for the themes that I wanted to address in these videos I was learning about my witchy crushes. So I will try to reduce the list, but I have like a complete list right here in my laptop. Before we start, I want to apologize for any noise or inconvenience you might hear in this video, especially a fan, sound of a fan, because I'm dying down here in southern Spain. It's very hot. I'm sweating like a roasting pig, and we're hosting a music festival. So there are a lot of outsiders driving up and down, walking up and down, and I can't avoid the noise anywhere in the house. So, witchy and pagan crushes. I'll start with people in the pagan and witchy communities, and then I'll go for fictional characters. And those, there are some few, but let's go. Daniel Shock is my undisputable witchy crush. I have only read a book by him so far, but I am so in love with that book, which is Veneficium. It's a book about the uses of poisons within the traditional craft, and particularly in the tradition of the author, which is the sabbatical craft. But that Luciferian, biblical-ish flavor that his craft has is amazing to me, and he doesn't get rid of his or of the culture's pagan roots. So he also has, for example, deities related to poisons, since his path is related to poisons that are pagan. For example, Hecate. So I'm so in love with him, and I want to read his books, the other books, so much because they're so interesting and so poetic in themselves. Then you have one person that is Julia Semproniana. She is Spanish, she's from Catalonia particularly, and she's, I believe, half of a partnership for a project called Oculta. Oculta is basically a store, a witchy store in which they sell their own crafts, their own crafted oils and incenses, and they have their own crafted like rosaries and talismans with dried up herbs and roots based on Catalonian and Pyrenean folklore and folk magic. They are amazing. Their crafts are so unique that I actually advise you to go check the link that I will leave in the description box, because they're amazing. They are all handcrafted, they are all harvested under certain circumstances, and they're extremely animistic, so they always establish contact with the spirit of the elements they're using for their products. They are amazing. Their products are one of the best things that I've seen in my entire life. They're amazing. Julia actually studied like translation or something like that for English, so she speaks English very fluently, or at least very fluently in comparison with me. So their blog articles and everything related to Oculta is usually translated, so you don't need to be able to read Spanish to understand the products or to understand their articles or whatever. And then you have Carlos Sanchez and Vaelia. I can't say her like second, I think it's her pagan name, but I'm not sure. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Vaelia and Carlos, I knew about them because they have a podcast called Encrucijada Pagana, which means Pagan Crossroads, and they address topics of magic, witchcraft, paganism, spirituality, pagan philosophy, and they have their own projects, so they have their own blogs and their own everything, and they're both amazing, and they both made me interested in traditional witchcraft and historical witchcraft as well. They have a project called El Gremi de l'Art. I probably butchered that because it's Catalan language, but it basically means the guild of the craft or something like that, and it's about collecting traditional things on traditional craft, and this project is with people of occulta and people of other different projects from the witchy community or the occult community in general. And that project, that website, I don't know if it's still active, but it was translated. It was in 3 languages, which they were Spanish, Catalan, and English. So you can check it out. It will be the link will be in the description box down below. And I am so in love with Carlos and Vaelia, spiritually speaking and magically speaking. So now let's move on to the fictional characters, and I have some few of them, but I will reduce the list to the main ones and the male ones. Of course, I have many female characters. Most witchy characters are represented female, so I have very few of them. No, sorry, a lot of them, not very few, a lot of them, but I will try to look for the ones that are like literal crushes that I have, because I'm gay, in case you didn't notice. And yeah, in this list, it's not only witches and warlocks that are included, it's also, and yes, I said warlock, and it was purposely, also pagan characters and magicians and magic practitioners in general. And please remember, these may contain spoilers from the shows they belong to, so if you don't want spoilers, just skip the explanation of the character. So first we have the witchy crush for me, which is Ambrose Spellman from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He's beautiful, he's so beautiful, he's intelligent, he has his head on his shoulder, he's powerful, he's a Satanist, which I don't dislike. Then we have Alan Deaton from Teen Wolf. Alan Deaton is what they refer as to an emissary. The emissaries basically are like reconverted druids that taught werewolves how to shift into wolf or werewolf form and back to the first werewolves according to mythology, the TV show's mythology. And these druids started to act as human emissaries between the packs after they taught them, and they have like supernatural, or he has supernatural knowledge. He knows how to fight, he knows about herbs, he knows which herbs protects against certain supernatural creatures, they know which elements of nature are contagious or poisonous to certain supernatural creatures. So he is basically a modern version of a druid, if you believe in all the supernatural folklore you have around. If you don't filter it to be a spiritual phenomenon that you translate into folklore of gods battling and shapeshifting and doing tremendous deeds that nowadays you don't believe anybody could do. So in this series you can do, there are like shapeshifters and people with magical powers and stuff, but the thing is that he doesn't have any power. He only knows about the supernatural, so he has enough knowledge as to fight against a supernatural creature and to ward off supernatural creatures or poison them or defeat them in certain ways or control them, but only by his knowledge on the supernatural, his knowledge on folklore, and his knowledge on herbs and other things that affect supernatural creatures. So I think it is a very interesting character, and he's the wise man of the show. Then you have, I don't know how it is said in English, Divis or Divis, the outcast from the TV show Britannia. And Britannia is a terrible TV show as a historical drama because it is so historically inaccurate that it hurts the eyes if you know the history of that part of the world and their culture. But magic wise, it is, in my opinion, very realistic. So Divis or Divis or whatever it's called, it was trainee of the Druids, and he was outcast because he was allegedly possessed by a demon of the underworld. And this is one of the major mistakes of the series, using the word demon. But basically he was outcast, but he keeps having these visions and his magic and his vision quests are like so realistic. In my opinion, vision quests or visions in general or prophetic dreams are very much like he experiences in this TV show. So even though it's not a great historical drama show, I recommend you if you're interested in magic and pagan magic, because what he does is so realistic and well put and well represented that I love him. And he's like really dirty and he's a prick and he's everything, but to me he's cute as fuck. So I mean, I have a thing for Celtic looking, whatever that is, guys with their braids and their birds and their everything, so I pretty much love him. Then you have James Delaney, I don't know how it is pronounced. He is the protagonist of the TV show Taboo, and he's interpreted by Tom Hardy. I mean, Tom fucking Hardy is playing this character, so that by itself would be a crush. But in this show, this is a character that disappeared in Africa, I believe. He comes back to England, I think, and the thing is that he has learned the religion of the African tribes he was with. So I guess it's something in the vein of voodoo or Yoruban traditions or something like that. I'm not sure, it is not specified, but again, as with Britannia, it's very realistic. What you have are like trances, like inducing dreams in other people, things like that. It is very cool and very well represented in my opinion, and it's not the focus of the show. Then you have Constantine from DC. He's super famous, so I don't think he needs presentation. He's a magician who fights off evil with his knowledge of the supernatural and magic. And then you have Jesus Velázquez from True Blood. He was, according to the show, a brujo, which by the way in Spanish would be brujo. Brujo, not ho. That sound doesn't exist in Spanish. But yeah, brujo basically means warlock or male witch. And he was pretty interesting because he had like this South Native American thing mixed with European witchcraft or Spanish witchcraft particularly, which made this Latin American taste in his craft, in his spells. He invoked Santa Muerte, he invoked Yoruban deities as well, so he had like this Afro-Caribbean thing going on his craft as well. Now we have Jorge Selvas from a Spanish TV show called Hay alguien ahí, which translates to There's Somebody There. And he's not a witch in itself, he's a medium who can see spirits, but he knows a lot about curses and spirits and how to deal with spirits. So he was trained as an exorcist, and he left because Christianity basically failed him, but he keeps on seeing spirits and he knows a lot about of the spirit world, so he's pretty much a witch to me. And finally we have Jonathan Strange from Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It is a 7-part or 7-episode TV show based on a novel, and it is about a society that believes in magic, but people are unable to practice magic in historical, well, alternate historical England or United Kingdom. So we have this person that apparently is able to do magic, and he's the only one. So he's contracted by some royal character, and then he discovers this other person that is able to perform a spell as well, and he gets him as a pupil. But their characters clash so much that they go on different ways in the series. There are also fairy characters, and in my opinion here you have a representation of fairy magic and fairy lore that is British fairy lore particularly, that is awesome, and this character is awesome as well. It's a very short TV series and it is absolutely worth a watch if you're interested in fairy lore or British high magic and stuff like that. It is delightful. So this has been a long video, I'm sorry about that, but I thought that for once this was my time, because I am so immersed in fictional worlds that this was my time to explain in depth and don't go after a few minutes because I don't know what to say about the topic. It is being addressed. So this is not only my crashes, these are all recommendations for you. You're welcome. And yeah, that's all. Please tell me what you think in the comments down below. Tell me what you think about these characters and these authors and people from the Witchy and Pagan communities. Give me some feedback, please. Thanks for watching. We'll see each other next Wednesday. Yeah. Bye.